Hello everyone, this is Dave from Dave's Wreaths and Things. Welcome to Wreathmas week. Can you believe it? Day number 6 already. I know, I'm like, how is this happening and how does this go so fast? It is Wreathmas week 2025, 7 days, 7 wreaths, plus that bonus wreath right at the very end. I'm just going to zip it right now. We're going to get started and I'll show you what I made for day number 6. I was going through my Christmas stash and I found this singular poinsettia. It's white with silver in the middle, and it kind of gave me inspiration for today's wreath. So I'm going to be using the small Unique in the Creek wreath board. I'm going to be using some 10-inch Deco Mesh. This is poly Deco Mesh in white and normal Deco Mesh in green. Some Christmas bulbs in silver. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use yet, but I have all of these. This is 6-inch cable ties that I'm going to be using to attach the Deco Mesh, and of course my regular crafting utensils to create our poinsettia wreath today. And here is our shopping list and the materials that I'm going to be using to create our wreath. I am going to start off with my cutting mat, and I'm also going to be using a glass cutting board, and I'm going to be using my burning tool today. If you don't have that, you can use a pair of scissors, rotary cutter, and a ruler to cut your Deco Mesh. I'm going to lay out my Deco Mesh, and what is our magic number today? It is 10. So I am cutting my Deco Mesh at that 10-inch mark, and I'm just using my flat tip, and I'm just going to glide it along that glass cutting board. So I find my 10-inch mark, bring down that wood cutter, and just kind of trace over that 10-inch mark. You can kind of see I didn't do it all the way, but the second time around it worked a lot better. I find if you go a little bit slower with your cuts, it'll grasp all of that Deco Mesh and just seal it together with that wood burning tool. So again, I'm cutting it at that 10-inch mark. So I'm using 10-inch by 10-yard poly Deco Mesh in white and Deco Mesh in green. And for the white mesh, I'm cutting 24 pieces at 10-inch. And for the green, I'm cutting 5 pieces at that 10-inch mark as well. Now that I've done all of my cuts, it's time to make our little leaves and our petals. So I take a cable tie, and I'm not tying it all the way. So you can see there I have a little loop, and then I have a little bit excess at the end. So we're going to take our Deco Mesh, and then I'm going to turn it such that it's a triangle shape. Then I'm going to take that bottom point all the way up to the top to create our triangle. Then I'm just going to line up the sides, and I'm going to take some time here to line up the sides. It's more important to line up the sides than it is the tip of the triangle. Once I have it all lined up and I'm happy with it, I'm going to press it down just a little bit to have that tip kind of really shine. Draw an invisible line right down the middle, and then we're going to gather that Deco Mesh all together. And then it should make like a little bit of a mustache look. So you know the Lorax, the child story with the Lorax, with that mustache? That's the look that we're going for here. Then I'm going to lay it on its side, and then I'm just going to squish the ends or the center together, and that's going to create the petals. Now we'll take our cable tie, wrap it around, and then we're just going to pull it nice and tight, making sure it's all gathered right at that end. Grab my scissors, cut the excess off, and we have our first little petal bundle all ready for our wreath. And of course, I'm going to make a whole bunch of these. And again, we're taking that cable tie. We're not tying it tight. We're going to take that Deco Mesh, fold it over into a triangle shape, and then we're going to gather right in the center, place it down on its side, gather the middle part, take that cable tie, wrap it around, and then we're just going to fully tighten it up, cut the excess off with our scissors, and those are our petals. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to prep my cable ties first. I'm going to make my little bundles, grab those cable ties and attach it, creating all of those wonderful little bundles to create our poinsettia wreath today. So I'm just going to do this over and over and over again with the white, and with the green, what I'm going to do is, again, we're going to use the cable tie, starting off with just closing it a little bit. And then with the green Deco Mesh, because mine is so curly as you saw in the beginning, what I'm going to do is I am going to just flip that over, and I'm going to use my decorative rocks just to hold them down a little bit. You don't necessarily have to do this, it's just how my Deco Mesh turned out. And then what I'm going to do is right at the bottom, I'm just going to gather everything right down that imaginary line in the middle, just like we did before. But this time we're going to do something a little different. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to take that Deco Mesh at the right hand side, and we're just going to bring it over such that it's overlapping the one on the left side. And this is going to create the leaves for our Deco Mesh wreath. And then I'm going to take that cable tie, just like we did before with the white petals, and I'm just going to attach it right at the end, gathering it together, cutting the excess off, and we've just created our first beautiful leaf for our poinsettia. And again, that cable tie, put it together, flip over our green Deco Mesh. I'm going to put my rocks down, grab that imaginary line, gather it all together, creating a little bit of a rounded bow tie. Then that right hand side, we're just going to fold it over, covering the left hand side, add that cable tie at the end, and that's going to create another leaf. So I'm going to do this 5 times to create those wreaths. Here is our Unique and the Creek wreath board. You can see it's kind of a firm plastic. It works really, really well, and it has sets of holes in rows 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the 2 in the middle, that's where you can put your center sign, if you will, or centerpiece. And you'll notice at the very top there is 4 holes. So there's a set of holes that I'm showing you here in each of the rows, and right at the very top there's 2 holes with divots. That's where you can hang your wreath, so you can add a cable tie or a pipe cleaner there. And the row number 1 I'm going to use for the leaves. Row number 2, 3, and 4 I'm going to use for our petals. So I'm going to start off using row number 2, and I'm going to put a cable tie in every 2 sets. So there's a set of 2 everywhere, so you can see there I'm putting that. I'm going to skip that single center, no, I shouldn't say center, single circular hole. Say that 10 times fast. And then I'm going to skip that, and then I'm going to go to the next double set. So you can see here in our second row, I've got all of my cable ties in there. I haven't tightened them tight because this is how we're going to attach our petals. So here I'm grabbing my petal that we've previously made. I'm going to insert that in the cable tie, and I'm going to make sure the cable tie on the petal itself is on the inside of the cable tie attached to the board. That way it's going to hold it in there. It's not going to come out. So it's just an added security, if you will, to make sure that that petal is nice and secure and it's not going to go anywhere. And then I'm going to do this for the entire second row, just adding those petals on there. Once it's all done, now we're going to move to the third row, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to take my cable ties, feed it through the sets of circles, and I'm going to do that 1 for each set. Once that's all done, you can see that here, and of course I'm showing you the back side, how nice and full it is. And we're doing the exact same process. We're adding our petals right into that cable tie, twisting it nice and tight, making sure it's good, cutting off the excess as we go. And once you get it all set up and your board is preloaded, it does go pretty fast, which is kind of nice. And now we're going to do our final row right there. And for this one, we're going to do something a little different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preload the sets of 2. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to load up these shared holes. So I'm showing you right now how I'm doing the sets, which is exactly the same as we did before. You're just taking a cable tie, putting in one of the sets, loosening it just a little bit, and then here the back side I'm showing you, I have my 4 already in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another cable tie, and I'm going to put one through a shared hole, and then I'm going to come back and put it through the next. So we have 4 on here now. I'm going to add an additional 4 using those shared holes as well. So it's going to be in the center a total of 8. So once I finish doing that, you can see right here we have that set, and then we've got the shared hole with our cable ties, and I'm just going to finish off doing the shared holes before I add my petals in. And then how do we add the petals? Just the same as before. We insert that into the loop of our cable tie, pull it nice and tight, cut the excess off, and then of course each row of petals covers the petals before of those cable ties, and here we go, is all of our white petals on there. And then on the back side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our leaves on that outside row. I'm going to start with the first set after the center. So this is the exact same method that we used before, is I just feed the cable ties through there. I'm not going to tighten them really tight because I want to feed my leaves right through there as well. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I do one set, I skip 2 sets, do another set, skip 2 sets, all the way around. So it's a total of 5 of the leaves that I'm attaching. And of course, we're just going to feed the ends of those leaves on there, pull it nice and tight, that cable tie, and then we have an attachment of our leaves. And again, I'm going to do 4 more of these, which is a total of 5 leaves for this poinsettia wreath. And once those are all attached in there, I flip it over, and of course I am so happy. But before I do that, I'm going to actually attach another cable tie to use as a hook right at the top. I spoke a little bit briefly in the beginning, so we have a hook here. Here it is flipped over, and look at this. I am so happy with this. And using inspiration from that original poinsettia that I saw, I'm just using some glittery silver bulbs, using some hot glue, and I'm gluing some of those right in the center to kind of copy that inspiration poinsettia that we had previously. And here is that poly Deco Mesh with those white petals, those green leaves, and of course that glittery centerpiece that I just love. And then of course our poinsettia inspiration is right here with the white leaves. I mean, it looks a little, bad because it was in storage for so long, but that was our inspiration for our white poinsettia wreath today. Here it is hanging in my door in all of its glory. Thank you so much for joining me today for Wreathmas Week 2025. Don't forget that playlist is right down below for you to click on and watch all the previous episodes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new project. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.